so we have completed the menstrual cycle, right? Now we will see fertilization, right? I told you that the sperm, right? The sperm is deposited in the female genital tract by the copulatory organ, right? So here what is happening? We have the sperm, right? The sperm, right? It get deposited where? In the female genital tract, right? Where in the female genital tract? At the vagina, right? The sperm will get deposited in the female genital tract with the help of the copulatory organ. Which is the copulatory organ in male? Males have the penis, right? Penis is the copulatory organ in males. Okay, so the sperm get deposited at the vagina or the female genital tract with the help of the male copulatory organ called as penis, and that process called as what? We have already discussed that. What is that process? That is called as the insemination, right? Insemination. Okay, that is called as the insemination. Okay, so the sperm will get deposited in the female genital tract, that is at the vagina, by the process of insemination. Okay, so the sperm which reaches the vagina, it will travel to where? From the vagina, the sperm will travel to the uterus, right? No, to the cervix. Okay, from vagina, the sperm will travel to the cervix, right? It will travel first to the cervix, then to the uterus, right? What happens in uterus is that the sperm will attain the final maturity, right? This sperm is what? This sperm is motile because it get matured at where? It get matured at the epididymis, right? The sperm get matured at the epididymis, right? And it has become motile, right? So this sperm which get deposited at the vagina by a process called as insemination will now starts to move. Okay, it will starts to move from vagina to where? To cervix and to uterus, right? On reaching uterus, the sperm will attain maturity so that it can penetrate the ovum. Okay, it will undergo some physiological changes which make the sperm capable to fertilize the ovum. Okay, reaching the uterus, the sperm will undergo some physiological changes which will make the sperm capable to fertilize the ovum, right? That process called as what? That process called as capacitation. Okay, capacitation. Okay, that process called as the capacitation of the sperm. Understand? So the sperm which is motile, right? Because it attains maturity where? It attains maturity at the epididymis. Okay, so via the process of insemination with the help of the male copulatory organ, that is the penis, it get deposited at the female genital tract. At which part? At the vagina. From the vagina, it will start traveling to cervix, then uterus, right? And on reaching the uterus, the sperm will undergo some physiological changes, okay, which will make the sperm capable to fertilize the ovum. That process called as what? That is called as the capacitation of the sperm, right? And from uterus, where the sperm will reach? It will reaches the fallopian tube, right? Fallopian tube. Which part of the fallopian tube? It will reaches the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Which part? Ampulla, right? Ampulla, right? Ampulla of the fallopian tube. Similarly, the ovum. Where is our ovum? Our ovum was in the ovary, right? Via the process of ovulation, the ovum is released from the ovary, right? The ovum is released from the ovary. This ovum is catched by which processes? It is catched by the fimbriae of the infundibulum of the fallopian tube. I told you there are the fallopian tube has finger-like projections called as what? Fimbriae, right? At which part of the fallopian tube? Fimbriae is present at the infundibular part of the fallopian tube. Okay, so this fimbriae will catch up the ovum. Okay, catch up the ovum to which part? To the infundibulum, and from the infundibulum the ovum is transferred to the ampulla, right? Transferred to the ampulla. So the sperm and ovum, right? Here we have our ovum, right? We have the zona pellucida of the ovum. We have the corona radiata. Okay, our ovum and the sperm, right? Okay, and the sperm has reached where? Reached the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Okay, the sperm and ovum has reached the ampulla of the fallopian tube, right? At the ampulla, what happens? Where the ovum and sperm will fuse. Okay, so the fertilization occurs at the ampulla. Okay, the fertilization occurs at the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Understand? So the ovum and sperm reaches the fallopian tube and fertilization occurs at the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Understand? Fertilization occurs at the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Now we'll see what is going to happen at the ampulla. So what we have at the ampulla? We have our ovum, our sperm, right? This is the sperm. And we have the ovum. Okay, this is the at the ampulla. Where this? It is at the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Okay, what happens at the ampulla of the fallopian tube? The sperm. What is there here? The sperm has the acrosome, right? And the sperm will release a hormone, or not an enzyme, sorry. The sperm will release an enzyme called as what? Called as hyaluronidase enzyme. Okay, the sperm will release an enzyme. Okay, this is the sperm. Understand? This is the sperm. Okay, the sperm will release an enzyme called as what? Enzyme called as hyaluronidase enzyme. Okay, this hyaluronidase enzyme will enable the sperm to penetrate which layer? It will enable the sperm to penetrate which layer? This is the corona radiata. Okay. Okay, so this hyaluronidase, with the help of this hyaluronidase acid, with the help of this hyaluronidase enzyme, okay, with the help of this hyaluronidase enzyme, the sperm will penetrate the corona radiata. Okay, with the help of hyaluronidase enzyme, the sperm will penetrate the corona radiata. Understand? With the help of hyaluronidase enzyme, the sperm will penetrate corona radiata. Okay, the sperm will penetrate the corona radiata. Understand? So when it penetrates the corona radiata, where it will reach? It will reach this membrane, right? Right, after penetrating the corona radiata, the sperm will reach which membrane? This is the zona pellucida, right? So on penetrating corona radiata, the sperm will reach where? Now the sperm will reach zona pellucida. Okay, so what happens to the sperm now? The sperm will has what? It has the lytic enzymes in the acrosome. Okay, it has the lytic enzymes in the acrosome. The sperm has the lytic enzyme present in the acrosomal cap, right? What happens? The sperm will undergo acrosomal reaction. What is meant by acrosomal reaction? Acrosomal reaction means that it is the acrosomal cap will dissolve and release the lytic enzymes in the acrosomal cap. That is called as acrosomal reaction. The sperm will undergo acrosomal reaction. Okay, the sperm will undergo acrosomal reaction, and with the help of acrosomal reaction, what it will do? It will dissolve this, or it will penetrate this zona pellucida. Okay, it will penetrate the zona pellucida. Okay, it will penetrate the zona pellucida. Okay, the sperm will release the lytic enzymes in the acrosome. That is called as acrosomal reaction, and it will reach where? It will reach the zona pellucida. Okay, it will penetrate the zona pellucida, and inside the zona pellucida, what it has? We have the membrane of the ovum, right? We have the membrane of the ovum. Okay, we have the membrane of the ovum. What happens when the sperm penetrate the zona pellucida? Two changes occur in the ovum. Okay, when the sperm penetrate the zona pellucida, two changes occur, right? We'll see what are the two changes. Okay, Okay, so when the sperm reaches the zona pellucida, or when the sperm penetrates the zona pellucida, two changes occurs. Where all? One is at the membrane, okay, membrane of the ovum. Membrane of the ovum. What happens? At the membrane, there will be conformational changes in the membrane. Okay, when the sperm penetrates the zona pellucida and reaches the membrane, there will be there reaches the membrane. Okay, there reaches the membrane. There will be conformational changes in the membrane. Why there is conformational changes in the membrane? There will be conformational changes in the membrane such that no further sperm entry is promoted, or it will inhibit the entry of any other sperms. Okay, so when the sperm penetrates the zona pellucida and reaches the membrane, there will be conformational changes in the membrane. Why? This conformational change is to prevent further entry of any other sperms or to prevent polyspermy. Okay, there will be confirmatory changes in the membrane. Okay, there will be confirmatory changes in the membrane to what? It will prevent the further entry of sperms. Okay, prevent the entry of any other sperms. Right, and what is, if in other terms, to prevent polyspermy, right? Will prevent polyspermy. Understand the first change? Right, when the sperm penetrates the zona pellucida and reaches the membrane, what happens? There will be conformational changes in the membrane which will in turn prevent the entry of any other sperms, or which will prevent polyspermy. Okay, so that only one sperm can fertilize an ovum. Okay, only single sperm can fertilize an ovum. Okay, this is the first change. Right, then what is the second change? I told you when we were discussing oogenesis, which is the stage of ovum. Ovum it is at secondary oocyte, right? It is the secondary oocyte now, right? Secondary oocyte at which stage? Secondary oocyte at metaphase 2 arrest, right? It is at metaphase 2 arrest. Remember oocyte, right? We told you that at the time of puberty it is at primary oocyte, right? At the stage of prophase 1 arrest, right? At the time of puberty, under the influence of FSH, the ovum will undergo further meiosis, right? Completes the first meiosis and forms secondary oocyte and first polar body, right? The first polar body is released. Now we have what we have? The ovum enters into the second meiosis and get arrested at metaphase 2, right? The ovum has secondary oocyte which get arrested at the metaphase 2, right? So what happens? The meiosis 2 completes. Okay, meiosis 2 completes and releases what? Releases the mature ovum. Okay, mature ovum, or we will call as ooted. Okay, it releases the mature ovum or ooted and what? And the second polar body. Okay, it will come when that is the penetration of the sperm with the zona pellucida will cause us two change. First one we have seen, right? We have seen what? There will be conformational changes in the membrane so that polyspermy is prevented, right? That is the first stage. Second stage what? Second stage, the ovum is at secondary oocyte stage at metaphase 2 arrest, right? Now the ovum will complete the meiosis 2, right? It is an unequal division. Okay, very very important. It is an unequal division. Okay, unequal division. Right, unequal division. So what happens? What are the form? It forms mature ovum or ooted and secondary polar body. Okay, mature ovum and secondary polar body. Understand? Majority of the cytoplasm will be taken up by the majority of the cytoplasm will be taken up by the mature ovum. Right, the polar body don't have anything. Okay, it is taken up by the secondary ovum. What is the number of chromosomes in secondary ovum? Sorry, what is the number of chromosomes in the mature ovum? It is 2n, right? 2n, sorry. Okay, so what is the number of chromosomes in the mature ovum? It is n, right? Haploid, because meiosis 2 is completed, right? Meiosis 2 is completed. Okay, meiosis 2 is completed. Okay, so the mature ovum will have haploid number of chromosomes, right? And what is released along with the mature ovum? Solar secondary polar body is released. Okay, second polar body is released. Second polar body and mature ovum is formed, right? Mature ovum has what? It has the female pronucleus. It has the female pronucleus. Okay, it has female pronucleus. The mature ovum or ootyd has female pronucleus. Understand, the two changes occur when the sperm comes in contact with the zona pellucida. Okay, so when the sperm, with the help of what? The sperm will release lytic enzyme, right? Acrosomal reaction, it will undergo acrosomal reaction and release what? And release the lytic enzyme, which will help to penetrate the sperm to the zona pellucida and reaches the membrane of the ovum, right? Two changes occurs. One is the conformational changes in the membrane and second one is the completion of the meiosis 2 and formation of the mature ovum. Okay, formation of the mature ovum. Now we will see what happens to sperm. Okay, so here we have the sperm, right? And here we have the ovum, right? Oh, where the sperm has reached? The sperm has reached the membrane of the ovum, right? It has reached the sperm has reached the membrane of the ovum, right? Only the nucleus, okay, only the head and the middle portion enters. The tail is left behind. Okay, so which all parts enters into the ovum? Only the head and the middle portion enters and the tail is left behind. Okay, the head and the middle portion will enter and the tail is left behind. Okay, the head and the middle portion of the sperm enters the ovum. Okay, the head and the middle portion of the sperm enters the ovum and the tail is left behind. What happens inside the ovum? Inside the ovum, the nucleus, other than the nucleus, mitochondria and the proximal centriole. Okay, other than the nucleus, mitochondria and proximal centriole, all other parts will get dissolved. Okay, or destroyed. Okay, all other parts will get destroyed. What are the parts which present now in the ovum? We have the nucleus, we have the proximal centriole and we have the mitochondria. Okay, all other parts will get destroyed. Okay, so now the male nucleus. Okay, the male nucleus, this is the male nucleus, right? It will take up the water, it will absorb the water from the female cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm of the ovum, and forms what? And forms, this is the male nucleus. Okay, so it will take up the water from the cytoplasm of the egg and forms what? And forms male pronucleus. Okay, and enlarges and forms male pronucleus. Okay, male pronucleus. Understand? That is, the male nucleus will forms male pronucleus. And what is the other part we have? We have the centriole, proximal centriole. Okay, we have the proximal centriole. Proximal centrioles will form what? This will divide to form daughter centrioles. Okay, daughter centrioles. Okay, daughter centrioles, and will migrate to two poles. Okay, daughter centriole means two centrioles. It will migrate to the two poles of the cell and started the formation of spindle fiber. Okay, daughter centrioles which will start the formation of spindle fibers, and mitochondria forms the part of the female. It comes into the female cytoplasm of the ovum. Okay, it forms the part of the cytoplasm of the ovum. Okay, so what happens? This male pronucleus, now this male pronucleus, okay, it will fuses with the female pronucleus. Okay, okay, this will fuses with the female pronucleus and forms what? And gives zygote. Okay, and gives zygote. Understand? The male pronucleus fuses with the female pronucleus in the mature ovum and gives zygote. Okay, so what is a zygote? Zygote is the single cell formed from the fusion of the sperm and ovum. So what will be the chromosome number in zygote? It is 2n. Zygote is a diploid cell. Understand? Zygote is a diploid cell because it is formed by the fusion of a haploid male sperm and a haploid female ovum fuses together to give a single cell which is diploid called as zygote. Okay, zygote. One more thing. If the zygote is formed by the fusion of an X sperm with fusion of a X ovum, we will get a zygote with what? We will get a zygote which has 44 autosomes plus XX chromosome. This is a female zygote. Okay, this is a female zygote, right? Okay, this is a female zygote. But what happens if a zygote has Y chromosome, if a sperm has Y chromosome, right, which fuses with a ovum of X chromosome, which what will we get? We will get 44 plus XY, right? That is a male zygote. The male zygote will develop into a male body and the female zygote will develop into a male zygote will develop into a male baby and the female zygote will develop into a female baby, right? So who determines the sex of the baby? Is it father or mother? It is by the paternal side, right? The father determines the sex of the baby, not the mother. Understand? So if the sperm has X chromosome, right, the sperm is a haploid, right, it has 23 chromosomes only, in which the sex chromosome is X, and if it fuses with a ovum, it will form what? It will form 44 plus XX, right? 44 autosomes plus XXX chromosome. That is a female baby or female zygote. What about a sperm with Y chromosome fuses with a ovum? It will form 44 plus XY, right? It will give rise to a male zygote or male baby. So the sex of the baby is determined by father, not by mother. Understand? This is called as fertilization, and this is how zygote is formed. Understand, everyone? Okay, so what we are going to discuss, we have seen fertilization, right? We have seen fertilization. Now we are going to discuss what happens after fertilization. What happens after fertilization? That is implantation, right? Implantation, right? Implantation. Okay, so we'll see how it happens, right? We have seen that the male pronucleus, right? We have the male pronucleus, right? We have the male pronucleus, right? The male pronucleus will fuses with the female pronucleus, right? The male pronucleus fuses with the female pronucleus to give rise to what? To give rise to zygote, right? To give rise to zygote. Right, I told you zygote is a diploid organism, right? It is a diploid organism, and remember that this zygote has the capability to form into an organism, right? This is a single cell, but this single cell has the capability to form an organism. An entire organism is formed from this single cell called as zygote. Okay, an entire organism is formed from a single cell called as zygote. Right, so this has the capability to form an entire organism, right? That is the zygote, right? So when after zygote is formed, what happens? After the fusion of male and female pronucleus, the zygote is formed, right? The zygote is formed, and what happens? This zygote will start movement, right? It will start moving towards where? It will start moving towards the where the zygote is formed. It forms at the ampulla of the fallopian tube, right? Zygote formed at the ampulla of the fallopian tube. It will, from ampulla, where it will move? It will move to isthmus, right? It will move to isthmus. Isthmus is a part of narrowest part of fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. We have seen isthmus when we discuss the female reproductive system, right? So from the zygote will, from ampulla, the zygote will start moving towards isthmus, right? Along with this movement, one more thing also happens. What is that? Along with the movement of the zygote, what happens? This zygote will start dividing. Okay, the zygote will start to undergo cell division. Which cell division? It will undergo cell. The zygote will undergo cell division. Okay, or the zygote will start dividing. Which cell division? It is the mitotic cell division or mitosis. Okay, right? So immediately after the formation of zygote, the zygote will start its movement towards the isthmus, right? It will start the movement from ampulla towards the isthmus. Along with that, the zygote will progress into what? It will progress into cell division, right? Which type of cell division? Mitosis, right? Thus the single cell, right? We have a single cell, that is a zygote, right? It will form, after mitosis, it will form a double celled organism. Okay, it will form a two daughter cells are formed, right? Later it forms what? Later it forms four-celled stage, right? It forms four-celled stage, right? These daughter cells, okay, the daughter cells formed by mitosis, we will call it as what? We will call these daughter cells as blastomeres. Okay, blastomeres. Understand? They are called as blastomeres. Okay, the daughter cells formed by the mitotic division are called as what? They are called as blastomeres. Understand? So the zygote which formed after fertilization will undergo two processes at the same time. First one, it will move towards the isthmus of the fallopian tube, and second one, it will undergo cell division. Which type of cell division? Mitotic cell division. And the single celled zygote will form into a double cell. From double cell it will form four celled, right? The cell division continues, and I told you what? The daughter cells formed by cell division is called as what? They are called as blastomeres. Okay, so when it reaches an 8 to 16 celled stage, okay, when it reaches an 8 to 16 celled stage, now we will call it as what? Now we will call it as morula. Okay, now we will, at 18 to 16 celled stage, we will call it as what? We will call it as morula. Understand? This is called as morula. Okay, and this morula will enters to where? It will enters the uterine cavity or the uterus. Understand? From isthmus it will reaches where? It will reaches the uterus, right? So the morula will reaches where? It will reaches the uterus. Understand? And you know when this morula will reaches the uterus? At the 4th day of fertilization, or after 4 days of fertilization. Okay, understand? So what happened? The zygote formed. Okay, zygote formed will undergo two processes. One, it will move towards the, it will start moving towards the isthmus of the fallopian tube. Second, it will undergo cell division. Which type of cell division? Mitotic cell division. And the single celled zygote will form into double cell stage, and that process called as what? This process where the division, cell division of the zygote occurs, that we will call that as what? This is called as the cleavage. Okay, this is called as cleavage. Understand? The zygote will undergo cell, I told you the zygote will undergo cell division, right? And single celled zygote will form double celled, right? Will form double cell, and that process is called as what? This process of undergoing cell division by the zygote is called as what? It is called as cleavage. Understand? Right? So the single cell, initially the single cell, it will form double cell, right? And the daughter cells are called as what? They are called as the blastomeres. Okay, so it forms the two cell, then it formed the four cell stage. When it reaches 8 to 16 celled stage, we will call it as what? We will call it as morula. Okay, and this morula is going to enter into uterus. Okay, this morula is what? It is going to enter into the uterus, right? So by this time, okay, by this time of cell division, where the zygote has reached? The zygote has reached up to uterus, which is the 4th day of fertilization. Understand? Which is the 4th day of fertilization. Okay, so now So now we have a morula, right? 2 to 8 celled stage called as morula, right? We have the morula with us, right? This will further undergo division, right? It will further undergo division and form blastocyst. Okay, it will form blastocyst. Okay, we will see how the blastocyst will look like. It has an outer layer, okay, outer layer of cells, okay, outer layer of cells, which is that, what is that outer layer of cells called as? They are called as trophoblast. Okay, they are called as trophoblast, right? And it has an inner cell mass. Okay, inner cell, we will call it as what? We will call it as inner cell mass. Okay, so this stage is called as what? This stage is called as the blastocyst stage. Understand? This stage is called as the blastocyst stage. It has an outer layer called the trophoblast and inner layer called as the inner cell mass. Okay, it has an outer layer called as the trophoblast and inner layer called as the inner cell mass. Okay, inner cell mass. And I told you that at the morula stage, it has entered into the uterine cavity or the uterus, right? And this blastocyst is going to get attached to the uterine wall. This is the uterine wall. This blastocyst is going to get attached to the uterine wall. What happens? The trophoblast layer, okay, the trophoblast layer of the blastocyst will get attached to the endometrium of the uterus. Okay, the trophoblast layer of the blastocyst will get attached to the endometrium of the uterus, right? So when the trophoblast get attached to the endometrium of the uterus, what the endometrium will do? The uterine endometrium starts proliferate. Okay, the uterine endometrium, it will start proliferate. It will start to proliferate. Okay, the uterine endometrium will start to proliferate and it will form a layer around this blastocyst. Okay, the uterine endometrium start proliferating and forms a layer around the blastocyst, thus implanting thus embedding the blastocyst to the uterine wall. Okay, when the blastocyst comes to the uterine wall, what happens? The trophoblast will get attached to the uterine wall. I told you that it has two layers of cell, right? Outer layer, that is called as trophoblast, which will get attached to the endometrium of the uterus. And what the uterine endometrium will do? It will start proliferating. The uterine endometrium will start proliferating and it will engulf, or it will embed the whole blastocyst into the uterine wall, and that process called as what? That process called as implantation. That process called as implantation. Okay, that process called as implantation, where the blastocyst get attached to the uterine wall and the uterine wall proliferates around the blastocyst, making the blastocyst implanted to the uterine wall. That is called as the process called as the implantation. Understand? Implantation, right? So this trophoblast will get attached to the uterine wall. And what about the inner cell mass? This inner cell mass will develop into embryo. Okay, this inner cell mass will develop into embryo. Understand what happens to the zygote? I told you the zygote will divide. It will divide, and that process called as what? It will undergo cell division. That process called as cleavage, right? Cleavage, and the daughter cells formed are called as what? They are called as blastomeres, right? And it will come to the 2-cell stage, 4-cell stage, 8-cell stage. When it reaches 8 to 16 cell stage, we will call it as what? We will call it as morula, right? That morula will enters into the uterine cavity or the uterus, right? The morula will later forms what? It will undergo cell division, form what? Forms blastocyst, right? Blastocyst has an outer layer called trophoblast and an inner layer called inner cell mass, right? This trophoblast will get attached to the uterine wall. or the uterine endometrium, right? So what the uterine endometrium will do, it will start proliferating and forming a layer around the blastocyst, embedding the blastocyst to the uterine wall. This process called as what? This is called as implantation. Understand? This is called as implantation. Okay.
Fertilization and implantation. During copulation, the continued stimulation of the glands penis triggers the spasm of muscles of the genital organs, creating the organism and resulting in the discharge of semen from the urethra. When semen is deposited within the vagina, the sperms tend to move in all directions, but many find their way up the cervix of the uterus and out into the oviduct and up the tube where they meet the descending ovum. 3 days is required for an ovum to travel down the oviduct to the uterus. An ovocyte lives, however, only about 24 hours after its liberation from the follicle. As the sperm and ovum meet, fertilization may take place, and if fertilization occurs in the oviduct, it is believed that a woman's period of fertility lasts only a day or two after ovulation. If the ovum is not fertilized during this time, it passes from the body. If the ovum is fertilized, it becomes implanted in the endometrium. Implantation usually takes place 3 to 4 days after the young embryo reaches the uterus, within 6 to 7 days after the egg was fertilized. Fertilization can only occur if the ovum and sperm are transported simultaneously to the ampullary isthmic junction. The process of fusion of a sperm with an ovum is called fertilization. During fertilization, a sperm comes in contact with the zona pellucida layer of the ovum and induces changes in the membrane that block the entry of additional sperms. One sperm only can fertilize an ovum. The secretions of acrosome help the sperm enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum through the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. The completion of the meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. The second meiotic division is also unequal and results in the formation of a second polar body and a haploid ovum, ovitid. Soon the haploid nucleus of the sperms and that of the ovum fuse together to form a diploid zygote. Human female is XX and that of the male is XY chromosome. Therefore, all the haploid gametes produced by the female ova have the sex chromosome X, whereas in the male gametes, sperms sex chromosome be either X or Y. 50% of sperms carry X chromosomes, while other 50% carry Y chromosome. After fusion of the male and female gametes, the zygote would carry either XX or XY, depending on whether the sperm carry X or Y fertilize the ovum. Zygote carrying XX chromosome would develop into a female and XY would form a male. The mitotic division starts as the zygote moves through the isthmus of the oviduct, called cleavage, towards the uterus and form 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cells called blastomeres. The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomeres is called a morula. The morula continues to divide and transform into blastocyst. It moves further into uterus. The blastomeres in the blastocyst are arranged into an outer layer called trophoblast and an inner group of cells attached to the trophoblast called the inner cell mass. The trophoblast layer then gets attached to the endometrium and the inner cell mass gets differentiated as the embryo. After attachment, the uterine cells divide rapidly and covers the blastocyst. As a result, the blastocyst becomes embedded in the endometrium of the uterus. This is called implantation and it leads to pregnancy.
Okay, so after implantation, what happens? After implantation, many finger-like projections starts to appear in the trophoblast. Okay, this is the trophoblast which will form the outer layer and the inner cell mass which develops into embryo, right? So first we will consider the outer trophoblast. Okay, I told you that after implantation, many small finger-like projection. Can you see here? So many finger-like projections. Okay, so many finger-like projections starts to appear in the trophoblast. Okay, this is called as what? This finger-like projection which appear in the trophoblast, we will call it as chorionic villi. Okay, we will call it as chorionic villi. Okay, this is called as chorionic villi. Okay, so after implantation, many finger-like projections starts to appear in the trophoblast. They are called as what? They are called as chorionic villi, right? Chorionic villi. This chorionic villi will get integrated with the maternal tissue. Can you see here the uterus of the mother? Okay, this chorionic villi get integrated into the maternal tissue as well as the maternal blood. Okay, the maternal uterus as well as the maternal blood. Okay, the chorionic villi get integrated with the maternal tissue and maternal blood, and they form a unit. Okay, they form a functional and structural unit between the developing embryo and the mother. Can you see here? So the chorionic villi present in the trophoblast will get integrated with the maternal uterus and the maternal blood, right? There will be blood vessel in the uterus. Okay, so it will get integrated with the maternal uterus and the maternal blood vessels. Okay, and forms a developing layer. Okay, forms a functional and structural unit between the embryo and the mother, and we will call it as what? We will call it as the placenta. Okay, we will call it as placenta. Okay, this whole structure, okay, the maternal tissue, that is a maternal uterus, the uterus of the mother plus the maternal blood vessels and the chorionic villi together, call it as what? We will call it as the placenta. Okay, this is a structural and functional unit between a developing embryo and the mother. Okay, this is the placenta, right? So what is the function, or what connects the placenta to the embryo? Can you see here? This is called as umbilical cord. Okay, this is the umbilical cord. Okay, this is the umbilical cord which will connect the embryo to the placenta. Okay, the connection between the embryo and the placenta is what? That is the umbilical cord. Okay, so what's the function of placenta? This placenta will carry oxygen and nutrients to the developing embryo. Okay, it will carry oxygen and nutrients to the developing embryo, right? Similarly, it will also carry the carbon dioxide as well as the waste products from the embryo. Okay, it will also carry the carbon dioxide and the waste, okay, waste products from the embryo. Right? So it contains what? It contains blood only, right? And it will bring whatever the drugs the mother takes, that will reaches the embryo via the placenta, right? Whatever the antibodies present, okay, it will reaches the, not every antibodies, okay, some antibodies present in the mother will reaches the embryo via the placenta, right? The nutrients taken up by the mother will reaches the embryo via the placenta. The oxygen, right, the mother whatever the mother exhale, the oxygen will reaches the embryo via the placenta, and the placenta will take back the deoxygenated blood, right, which contains carbon dioxide. So it will take back the deoxygenated or the carbon dioxide from the embryo to the mother, right? It will also take the waste product from the embryo, right? Because the embryo doesn't have any other ways for getting oxygen or food, right? That this is the only way. The placenta is the only way through which it will get nutrients and oxygen. Okay, so other than this, does the placenta have any other role? Yes, it has an endocrine role also. The placenta has an endocrine. What is meant by endocrine? It will secrete hormones. Which all are the hormones secreted by placenta? I'll tell you. The placenta will secrete HCG or human chorionic gonadotropin. What is the hormone? It is the human chorionic gonadotropin. Okay, it will secrete a hormone HCG or human chorionic gonadotropin. Then what? It will secrete human placental lactogen, HPL, or human placental lactogen. Okay, human placental lactogen. Right? During the late stages of pregnancy, right? During the late stages of pregnancy, towards the termination of pregnancy or toward the completion of pregnancy, the placenta will secrete another hormone that is called as relaxin. Okay, relaxin. Relaxin will prevent what? It will prevent the contraction, okay, the premature contraction of uterus. Okay, so the endocrine function, it will secrete HCG, HCL and relaxin. Remember that these three hormones are present only during pregnancy. Okay, these three, HCG, HPL and relaxin, these three are present only during pregnancy, right? What is HCG? Human chorionic gonadotropin. What is HPL? Human placental lactogen, right? Then relaxin. Along with these three, it will also secrete estrogen, progesterone. Okay, it will also secrete the other ovarian hormones like estrogen, progesterone. Remember that the level of estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, okay, the various endocrine hormones, right? The level of various endocrine hormones will be very, very high during the time of pregnancy. Why there is increased level of hormone during the time of pregnancy is that this increased level of hormone is needed for the development of the embryo as well as for maintaining the pregnancy. Understand why we need increased level of estrogen, progesterone, prolactin during the time of pregnancy? Why? Because that is needed for the developing embryo as well as for the maintaining pregnancy. Why? Because these hormones will make you changes in the mother. Okay, these hormones are responsible for making changes in the mother through which the mother can continue pregnancy. Okay, these hormones are responsible for making physiological changes in the mother. Okay, changes in the maternal body, changes in the maternal tissues. Okay, so these hormones are responsible for making changes in the physiological changes in the mother, via which she can survive through the pregnancy or she can maintain the pregnancy. Understand? Right? So what is the placenta? I told you what? The trophoblast, okay, the outer trophoblast, they will produce finger-like projection. They are called as chorionic villi, right? They will produce finger-like projection, and this chorionic villi get integrated with the uterine tissue as well as the maternal blood, right? These three will have a strong integration, right? And they will develop a structural and functional unit between the developing embryo and the mother. That is called as what? That is called as placenta. Right, placenta, and this placenta is connected to the embryo via umbilical cord. Understand? Via umbilical cord. And what is the function of placenta? This placenta will carry oxygen from the mother to the, it will carry oxygen and nutrients from the mother to the embryo, and it will carry carbon dioxide and waste products from the embryo to the maternal side, right? To the maternal side. And what's the other function? It has an endocrine role, right? That means what? It will secrete hormones. Which are the hormones? It will secrete human chorionic gonadotropin. It will secrete human placental lactogen. It will secrete relaxin. These three hormones are present only during pregnancy. Along with these three, it will also secrete estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, right? Why? Why? The level of these hormones like estrogen, progesterone, prolactin are very, very high during the time of pregnancy. Why? Because these high levels of hormones are required for the development of embryo as well as for making physiological changes in the mother to maintain pregnancy. Understand? These are needed to make physiological changes in the mother to maintain pregnancy, right? This is about the outer trophoblast. Now we'll see what happens to the inner cell mass, right? I told you the inner cell mass will forms embryo, right? How? The inner cell mass, right? Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass, okay, they will form two layers, okay. Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass will form two layers, okay. Two layers. What are the layers? It has the outer layer called as outer ectoderm, okay. Outer layer called as outer ectoderm, right? And inner layer, the inner layer is called as endoderm, right? Endoderm, okay. And later a in between layer, okay, in between layer means a layer between ectoderm and endoderm is formed, okay. A layer between ectoderm and endoderm is formed, that is called as what? That is the middle layer, okay. The middle layer called as mesoderm, okay. Mesoderm, okay. Mesoderm, understand? Immediately after the implantation, the inner cell mass will form two layers. Initially it forms two layers, an outer ectoderm and an inner endoderm, okay, inner endoderm. And later another layer is formed in between these two layers called as what? Mesoderm. Remember, all the organs of the body are formed from these three layers, okay. Formation of these three layers, okay, the formation of these three layers called as what? That is called as gastrulation, okay. The formation of these three layers is called as what? It is called as gastrulation, okay. That is called as gastrulation. The formation of these three layers is called as what? It is called as gastrulation. And all organs are formed from these three layers, right? From the ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, or the ectoderm, mesoderm or endoderm. All the organelles, okay, all the organelles or the all the tissues etc. are formed from these three layers, right? From the ectoderm, endoderm or mesoderm, right? Remember one thing, the endoderm, okay, the inner layer or endoderm has some cells, some stem cells, right? What is meant by stem cell? Stem cells are those cells from which any type of tissues or organ can be formed, right? They are totipotent cell, right? Stem cells are called as totipotent cell, or the cells which can give rise to any cells or tissues, okay. So the endoderm has certain stem cells in them. Remember, which layer has stem cells? The endoderm layer has some stem cells in them from which any cell or tissue can be formed, okay. The endoderm layer has some stem cells in them from which any tissues or cells can be formed. Understand? This has happened to, this is the fate of embryo or fate of the zygote, okay. What I told you that at the time of implantation it has two layers, right? An outer trophoblast and inner cell mass, right? Outer trophoblast will form the placenta and the inner cell mass has formed the embryo, right? Inner cell mass has formed the embryo. Initially it formed two layers, outer ectoderm, inner endoderm. Later a layer is formed between these two layers called as what? Mesoderm, okay. This is the middle layer or mesoderm, right? And all the cell organelles are formed from these three layers, right? Ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. And the endoderm has some cells, right? Some stem cells from which any organ or tissues can be formed, right? It is the stem cell or totipotent cell which is present in the endoderm. Understand? Okay, so now we'll see what happens in pregnancy, right? So what is the average duration of pregnancy? The average duration of pregnancy is 9 months, okay. The average duration of pregnancy is 9 months. And what is that period is called? It is called as gestation period, okay. The average pregnancy or the duration of pregnancy, will call it as gestation period, okay. It is called as gestation period, okay. And now we will see what happens in the gestation period, right? We'll see what happens in the gestation period, right? By the end of first month, right? end of first month, what the fetal heart has formed, right? The fetal heart has formed. Okay, by the end of first month, the fetal heart has formed. Right, fetal heart is formed. By the end of first month, fetal heart is formed, right? By the end of second month, okay, by the end of second month, right, limbs and digits are formed, right? By the end of second month, limbs and digits are formed, right? Now, by the end of 12th week, okay, by the end of 12th week, that means by the end of first trimester. 12th week means what? By the end of first trimester, right? What is meant by trimester? Before that, I want to tell you what is meant by trimester. That means the gestation period, I told you it is 9 months, right? We will divide this into 3 halves. Okay, we will divide this gestational period into 3 halves. First 3 months, next 3 months, and the last 3 months, right? So how can we divide, right? First 12 weeks, okay, first 12 weeks or first 3 months, we'll call it as what? It is called as the first trimester. Okay, first trimester. Next, the up to 24 weeks, okay, from 13 to 24 weeks, okay, we will call it as second trimester. Okay, or up to 3 to 6 months, we will call it as second trimester, right? From 26 to 40 weeks, okay, up to 40 weeks or 9 months, we will call it as third trimester. Okay, so we will divide the gestation period into 3 parts, right? First trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. Okay, that is first 3 months, next 3 months, and last 3 months. So by the end of 12th week or by the end of first trimester, what has formed? The major organs has formed. Okay, all the major organs are formed. Okay, the major organs are formed, right? So by the end of 12th week, the major organs are formed, right? By 5th month, okay, by 5th month, we can appreciate the fetal movements. Okay, by 5th month, we can appreciate the fetal movements. Okay, that is by 5th month, and that process called as what? That is called as quickening. The first movement of the fetus is called as quickening. Okay, so by 5th month, fetus moves. Okay, the mother can appreciate the fetal movements. Okay, by 5th month, we can appreciate the fetal movements. Okay, and what is the along with fetal movements? What also occur? The head will get hair will be formed in the head. Okay, the hair will be formed over head. Okay, hair over head. Okay, please learn these events because it is given in the NCERT book. Okay, so by first month, fetal heart is formed. By the end of second month, limbs and digits are formed. By the end of 12th week, okay, all these are end. Okay, end of second month, end of 12th week. Okay, by the end of 12th week, what happens? All the major organs are formed, right? And by 5th month, the fetus will start moving, right? The mother can appreciate the fetal movements. And one more thing has formed, right? What? The hair is formed over the head, right? Hairs are formed over the head. Okay, this is by the end of by 5th month, right? By the end of 24th week, by end of 24th week, that means what? End of second trimester. Okay, by the end of second trimester, what happens? The body of the fetus will be covered by tiny hairs. Okay, fine hairs. Okay, the body of the fetus will get covered by tiny hairs. Okay, body get covered by fine hairs. Okay, fine hairs. Okay, by the end of 24th week or by the end of second trimester, the body of the fetus will get covered by the fine hairs, right? Along with that, eyelashes are formed. Okay, eyelashes are formed, right? Eyelashes forms, right? And the eyes will get separated. Okay, the eyes will get separated. Okay, the eyes will get separated and eyelashes are formed by the end of second trimester, right? And by the 9th month the fetus is ready to deliver out. Okay, by 9th month the fetus is ready to get deliver out. Okay, so you need to know all these events. Okay, you need to know all these events. Okay, by the end of first month the fetal hearts are formed. By the end of second month limbs and digits are formed, right? By the end of the 12th week or end of first trimester major organs are formed, right? And by 5th month the fetus starts moving and hair is formed over the head, right? Hairs are formed over the head, and by the end of 24th week the body of the fetus will get covered by fine hairs, right? And eyelashes are formed, eyes get separated, right? The eyelids get separated, not eyes, eyelids get separated. Okay, the eyelids get separated. Okay, the eyelids get separated, right? And by completion of 9th month the fetus is ready to deliver out. Okay, the fetus is ready to get deliver out. Okay, so now we will discuss parturition, right? After completion of 9 months the fetus will be delivered out via the vaginal opening, that is called as parturition. I told you the period of pregnancy is around 9 months, right? So after the completion of 9 months the fetus is expelled or delivered out via the vaginal opening. We will call it as what? That is called as parturition. Understand? That is called as parturition. Okay, it is the delivering out of the fetus via the vaginal opening. Okay, that is called as parturition, right? So parturition is a neuroendocrine mechanism. Okay, it's a neuroendocrine mechanism. Okay, it is a neuroendocrine mechanism, right? Parturition is the delivering out of the fetus via the vaginal opening, that is called as parturition, and it's a neuroendocrine mechanism. We will see how this happens, right? How this happens, right? At the end of 9th month, right, the baby is fully matured, right? Right, the baby is fully grown or fully developed, right? So the fully developed fetus along with the placenta will send signals. Okay, will send signals, right? That will causes mild contractions in the uterus. Okay, so at the end of 9th month the fully developed fetus, okay, fully developed fetus, okay, plus the placenta, okay, plus the placenta, they will send what? They will send signal. What this will do? This will cause mild contractions in the uterus. Okay, this will cause mild contractions in the uterus. It will cause mild contractions in the uterus. And what is this called? This is called as fetal ejection reflex. Okay, so when the fetus is fully developed by the end of 9th month, the fully developed fetus and the placenta will send signal, right? Send signal, and what it cause? It will lead to mild contractions in the uterus, right? That is called as what? It is called as the fetal ejection reflex. Okay, fetal ejection reflex. It is called as the fetal ejection reflex. Okay, this fetal ejection reflex will trigger what? It will trigger the anterior pituitary. The fetal ejection reflex or the mild contraction of the uterus, it will trigger what? It will trigger the anterior pituitary. Okay, it will trigger the anterior pituitary. And what does this anterior pituitary will do? It will produce the oxytocin. Okay, it will produce the oxytocin, right? It will produce the oxytocin, which will cause what? This will cause strong contractions. Okay, this oxytocin will cause what? It will cause strong contractions, right? Mild contraction will turn into strong contractions. Okay, strong contraction. Understand? Right? So the mild contraction will in turn becomes strong contractions. Okay, so when this strong contractions are formed, what? This strong contraction will further trigger the anterior pituitary and more oxytocin is released, such that the intensity and duration of the contraction increases. Okay, so when the contractions become more what? It will further trigger the anterior pituitary. It will secrete more oxytocin. More oxytocin means what? More contraction. So the contractions will increase in intensity as well as duration. So what happens when the uterine contract? What? It will pushes the fetus down. Okay, it will pushes the fetus down. Right? That is called as what? That is called as parturition. Okay, understand how this is, how it is, how is the neuroendocrine system mechanism work, right? So what happens, initially the fully developed fetus and placenta will send signal to where? It will send signal to uterus, right? So what the uterus will do, it will start mild contraction. That is called as what? It is called as a fetal ejection reflex, right? When this fetal ejection reflex occurs, it will trigger what? It will trigger the anterior pituitary to release what? Release oxytocin. Right, this oxytocin will cause this convert the mild contraction into stronger contraction, right? When this stronger contraction occurs, it will further trigger the anterior pituitary and more oxytocins are released, right? More oxytocin, more strong contractions, right? More strong contraction, again more oxytocin, right? So what happens, the strength and the duration of the contraction increases, the intensity and duration of the contraction increases, and finally the fetus get delivered out. That process called as parturition. Understand? Parturition, right? Along with parturition, we want to study another term, that is lactation. Okay, that is lactation. Okay, that is lactation. What has happened? I told you that during the time of pregnancy, along with HCG, HPL, relaxin, estrogen, progesterone, other hormones also increases. Which are the other hormones? Prolactin, thyroid, cortisol, all the level of all these hormones will increase, right? Out of which the prolactin, okay, the prolactin, what does this prolactin do? It will goes to our mammary glands. Where? The prolactin will goes to the mammary glands, and what it will do? It will increase the production of milk. Okay, it will increase the production of milk. Right? So during the time of pregnancy, there will be increase in prolactin secretion. This prolactin will causes increased production of milk in the mammary gland. Okay, so which is the milk synthesizing hormone, that is prolactin, right? Milk synthesizing hormone, that is prolactin, right? So when the time after the baby is born, what happens? The oxytocin, I told you there will be increase in oxytocin, right? During the time of delivery, right? So there will be increase in oxytocin, what the oxytocin will do? The oxytocin will cause the contraction of the smooth muscles in the mammary glands, thus causing ejection of milk. Okay, causes ejection of milk. Okay, causes ejection of milk. Understand? During the time of delivery, I told you there will be increase in level of oxytocin, right? Increase in level of oxytocin. This will also causes the contraction of the smooth muscles in the mammary glands, thus causing ejection of milk, right? What is the other stimulus for milk ejection? That is the another stimulus for milk ejection is the sucking by the fetus or sucking by the baby. Okay, sucking by the baby. Okay, the sucking by the baby will also cause what? It will also cause the ejection of milk. Okay, the sucking by the baby will in turn stimulate the anterior pituitary, right? Anterior pituitary, from which the oxytocin is released, right? The sucking of the baby will increase the oxytocin as well as the prolactin. Okay, sucking by the baby will increase oxytocin as well as the prolactin. Okay, so what happens? What happens is that there will be increased production as well as increased secretion. Okay, so after this occurs during the few hours of delivery, right? Later what happens? The oxytocin will get reduced, but the sucking of the baby will stimulate prolactin. Okay, this will stimulate prolactin. Okay, and milk will be produced. Okay, so when the milk will be produced? The milk will be produced till the baby sucks. Okay, whatever the age, okay, if we are feeding the baby till 2 years, milk will be produced up to 2 years, right? So what is the stimulus for milk production after 6 months or after 1 year of the delivery? It is the sucking by the baby, understand? So there are two stimulus for milk secretion, right? What is first one? Prolactin. At the time I told you, pregnancy, during the time of pregnancy there will be increase in prolactin hormone which will causes increased milk production, and during the time of delivery there will be increase in oxytocin which will causes the milk ejection. Along these two, the sucking by the baby will also, it will in turn increases the hormone, prolactin hormone level, which increases the milk production, okay, which increases the milk production. Okay, so the milk which is produced in the first few hours, okay, the milk which is produced in the first few hours, okay, the milk which is produced in the first few hours is called as what? It is called as colostrum, okay. The milk which is produced in the, okay, the milk, colostrum is, it is the milk which produced in the first few hours, okay. Okay, the milk which is produced in the first few hours is called as what? It is called as colostrum, okay. The milk which gets produced in the first few hours is called as colostrum. And what is the advantage of colostrum? This colostrum has numerous antibodies, okay, it has numerous antibodies or immunological cells or immunological agents from the mother which will protect the baby from the infections or pathogens, okay. The colostrum has numerous immunological substances which will protect the baby from external pathogens, okay. It will protect the baby from infection and external pathogens. That is why every female who delivers, right, they are recommended to feed the baby within half hour, right. Every female who delivers is recommended to feed the baby within half hour, okay. And up to 6 months it is advised to give exclusive breastfeeding, okay. Exclusive breastfeeding means what? No other food should be, or no other drink, no other liquid, not even water should be given to the baby till 6 months except the breast milk. The baby up to 6 months has to be fed only on breast milk. That is called as exclusive breastfeeding. Understand? So the baby has to be exclusively breastfed up to 6 months of age, right? So this is called as lactation, right? I told you how the milk is produced, which is the milk producing hormone, that is the prolactin, which is the milk ejecting hormone, that is oxytocin, which is the reflex or which is the stimulus which later responsible for the formation and ejection of milk, that is the sucking of the baby, right, which is the later forms the stimulus for the production and ejection of milk, that is the sucking of the baby, right. And how long the baby, and the first milk, okay, the first milk formed is called as colostrum, which is immunologically rich, right. It has so many immunological factors, antibodies, immunological factors from the mother which will protect the baby from the external pathogens as well as the infection, right. And I told you that the baby should be exclusively breastfed up to 6 months of age, okay, for the proper growth and development of the baby, okay. It has to be exclusively breastfed for first 6 months, right. Understand? This is about the chapter human reproduction. Understand, everyone? Okay, so we'll start the discussion on the chapter human reproduction, right. We'll start the discussion, okay. We'll discuss the multiple choice questions, we'll discuss the reason assertion type questions, and we'll be discussing some MCQs, okay. We'll be covering in a topic wise manner, okay. We'll be covering the discussion in topic wise manner, okay. So coming to the first question, okay, which of the following character is seen in females? Out of this, which of the characters are seen in females? Okay, first we will see the characters. Muscles are strong, which is a male character, right. Mammary glands is well developed, it is in females, right. Voice is heavy, it is also a male character. Mammary glands is namesake only, that is also present in male. So out of which the answer is option B, mammary gland is well developed, right. Now, which of the following characters seen in male? Okay, the characters present in males they are asking. muscles are comparatively weak, it is a female character, right? Voice is shrill, it is also a female character. Voice is heavy, it is a male character, right? Beard and mustache is not seen, it is female character, right? So the answer is option C, that is voice is heavy, male character. Okay, now where testes are situated. I told you when we discussed about the male reproductive organ, testis is situated in a sac-like structure called as scrotum, right? It is situated in a sac-like structure called as scrotum outside the abdominal cavity. So the answer is option D, scrotal sac. Understand? Right. Fourth question. Which hormone is released from testis? Simple question. Answer is testosterone, right? Now, which hormone is released from ovary? Which is the hormone released from the ovary? It is the estrogen and progesterone. So the answer will be option D, both B and C, right? B is estrogen, C is progesterone. Both are released from the ovary, right? Now, which of the following gland is seen in male reproductive system, right? They are asking about the accessory glands of male reproductive system. Seminal vesicle is an accessory gland, true. Prostate is an accessory gland. Bulbourethral gland is also an accessory gland. So the answer will be option D, all of this, right? Now, how much lower the temperature of scrotal sac as compared to the normal body temperature? How much it is? It is 2 to 4 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature, right? The scrotal sac temperature is 2 to 4 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature. So in the option, what will be the answer? Average of 2 and 4, that is 3 degrees Celsius, right? Now, what is the size of testis? It is 4 to 6 centimeter in length and 2.5 centimeter diameter. So the answer will be B, 5 centimeter length and 2.5 centimeter diameter. Okay, now which connective tissue surrounds testis? Which is a connective tissue? It is tunica albuginea, right? Tunica albuginea surrounds the testis, or tunica albuginea is the connective tissue which surrounds the gonads. Okay, tunica albuginea, right? Now, 10th question. Seminiferous tubules in testis is lined by which types of cells? They are asking about the seminiferous tubules. Remember when we draw the seminiferous tubules in the discussion, right? That seminiferous tubules has, this is the male germ cell, and along with what cells? It has the Sertoli cells, right, which give nourishment to the developing sperms, right? Right? It has the male germ cells and Sertoli cells. So the answer will be both A and C, right? Both A and C, germinal cells and Sertoli cells, right? In testis, which cells produce sperms? It is produced by the germinal cells produce sperms, and the Sertoli cells will give nourishment to the developing sperms, right? Which cells provide nutrition to the sperms? That is the Sertoli cells, right? In testis, which cells are present in the interstitial space between the seminiferous tubules? I told you there is interstitial space between the seminiferous tubules, which contains the interstitial cells. Which are the interstitial cells? Answer is the Leydig cells, right? What Leydig cells secrete, right? Which is the next question. Which cells secrete testosterone? That is the interstitial cell. Okay, their cells were they are the Leydig cells. They secrete the hormone testosterone, right? Now, were seminiferous tubules of each lobes empty, right? Seminiferous tubules empty into which part? It empties into retrotestis. From retrotestis it is vasa efferentia. From vasa efferentia it is epididymis. From epididymis it is into vas deferens. Okay, so what will be the answer? Were the seminiferous tubules of each lobe empty testis into the vasa efferentia? Okay, now where is epididymis situated? Where is epididymis situated? I told you epididymis take up these sperms from the testis, right? The vasa differentia empties the sperms from the testis to epididymis. So epididymis is situated at the external surface of the testis. It is situated at the external surface of the testis. What is the length of epididymis? I told you it was a epididymis is a highly coiled tube, right? It is a highly coiled tube. Remember when we discussed, it is a highly coiled tube and it measures around 6 meter. Okay, answer is option C, that is 6 meter. What is the function of epididymis? It is the we'll see the options. It's a temporary storage site, right? We have discussed how long it will store the sperms for 1 month, right? And what happens for the immature sperms complete their maturation process, right? Maturation process occurs in epidermis, right? Gain of ability of swimming, that is they attain motility in the epidermis. That is also true. So the answer will be all of this, option D, all of this, right? Now, the distal end of vas deferens is expanded, and in this region, which opens into they are asking is which part opens into the ampulla of vas deferens. Which part opens into the ampulla? It is the seminal vesicle, right? Duct of the seminal vesicles opened into the ampulla of vas deferens, right? Which is the region present between seminal vesicle and duct of the urinary bladder, right? They are asking between the part between the seminal vesicle, right? What does it indicate? Part in the seminal, where the seminal vesicle opens. Where the seminal vesicle open? It open into vas deferens, right? It open into vas deferens, right? And what is the duct of urinary bladder called as? It is called as urethra. So they are asking the part between the urethra and vas deferens. Which is that part between the urethra and vas deferens? It is the option A, ejaculatory duct. Answer is option A, ejaculatory duct. Okay. Now, duct of which gland join with urethra before it passes through penis? We have discussed that word. We'll see the openings of each duct, right? The first is the seminal vesicle, right? Seminal vesicle, where it opens? It opens into the ampulla of vas deferens, right? It opens into ampulla of vas deferens. Now, which is the next one? Prostate, right? Prostate gland open into prostatic urethra, right? It open into the prostatic urethra, right? And last gland is bulbourethral gland. Okay, bulbourethral gland, right? Where it opens? It open into the penile urethra, right? It open into the penile urethra. So what they are asking? They are asking duct of which gland join with urethra before it passes through penis? That is the last gland. Answer will be option B, bulbourethral gland. Okay, now in male accessory reproductive gland, which is incorrect. They are asking which is not an male accessory gland. Okay, male accessory reproductive, which is not a male accessory reproductive gland. Which is answer? Answer is urinary bladder. Other three, seminal vesicle, prostate gland and bulbourethral gland, are accessory male reproductive glands. Okay, now so next question. What is called a capsule of collagenous connective tissue immediately after the germinal epithelium of ovary, right? We'll just draw the outline of ovary, right? This is the ovary, right, which is lined by the germinal epithelium, right? And immediately after the germinal epithelium, there is a connective tissue condensed to form what? This connective tissue condensation is called as what? It is called as tunica albuginea. It is called as tunica albuginea. Which tissue layer consists of tunica albuginea? Which compose what the tunica albuginea composed of? It is composed of collagenous connective tissue. Okay, it is composed of collagenous connective tissue, right? Which is called a region of connective tissue deep to the tunica albuginea, right? I told you the ovary is lined by germinal epithelium, and deep to that tunica albuginea, what we have? We have the stroma. Remember, it has stroma has what? Ovarian stroma is composed of a peripheral cortex and inner medulla. Okay, so the answer is ovarian stroma is composed by cortex and medulla. Answer is option D, both A and B. Right. Now, stroma of the ovarian cortex contains what? Ovarian cortex contains the ovarian follicles. Remember, I told you there will be follicles present in the stroma of various maturity, right? What is the structure consist of ova and their surrounding tissue in various stage of development is called? It is called as ovarian follicles, right? We have discussed that the stroma contains ovarian follicles which has the developing which has the ova at various stages, right? What is the structure consist of mature ovum and its surrounding tissue called as? Right, mature ovum. What is the structure? That is the Graafian follicle, right? Graafian follicle contains the mature ovum, right? Graafian follicle after ovulation produces glandular body. I told you after ovulation, Graafian follicle will become corpus luteum, right? It will become corpus luteum, right? Which hormone is produced by corpus luteum? Answer is progesterone, right? Progesterone is produced by corpus luteum, right? Now, what is the length of fallopian tube? What is the length of fallopian tube? It is
10 centimeter. Okay, remember 10 centimeter. The uterine tube from side runs forwards and become associated with which part? They are asking about the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube will run from forwards and becomes associated with the, or it connects with the uterus, right? Simple question, right? Uterus, right? Where an ovum fertilization occurs? Where? It occurs at the fallopian tube, right? It occurs which part? Is it at the infundibulum? No. Where? It occurs at the ampulla of the fallopian tube, right? If ampulla is not given, mark for option fallopian tube. Okay, ampulla of fallopian tube, right? The metamorphosis of spermatid into sperm is called as what? It is called as spermiogenesis, right? Which enzyme is produced by acrosome? Lytic enzyme, which is it? Hyaluronidase enzyme, right? Which helps the sperm to penetrate the corona radiata, right? The acrosome is formed by which organelle? Which is formed by the Golgi complex, right? This forms the middle piece of sperm. What forms the middle piece of sperm? Middle piece is formed by the mitochondria. Answer is option A, mitochondria, right? In oogenesis, which cells are produced at the end of maturation phase? Sorry, multiplication, not the maturation, it is multiplication phase, right? So, which, the question is, okay, so the question is, which cells are produced at the end of multiplication phase? I told you oogonia will undergo mitosis or multiplication to produce what? To produce primary oocyte, right? Primary oocyte. Okay. Now, in oogenesis, which substances are present in primary oocyte of growth phase? Okay. Which all are the substances produced at the primary oocyte of the growth phase? Which? Fat and proteins will be present, DNA will be present, ATP and enzyme will be present, everything will be present, right? Everything will be present in the growth phase, okay? Everything will be present in the growth phase, right? In oogenesis, which cell body are concentrated in cytoplasm of primary oocyte of the growth phase? Which cell organelle or which cell body are concentrated in cytoplasm? There will be mitochondria, there will be Golgi body, there will be ribosome, right? Because it is growth is occurring, so it will needs every cell organelle, okay? It will needs every cell organelle. So the answer is option D, all of the above, right? In oogenesis, which cells are produced at the first division of primary oocyte in maturation phase? Which cells? That means primary oocyte will undergo meiosis 1 and produce what? It will produce the secondary oocyte and first polar bodies, and the option is, answer is option D, both A and B. A primary oocyte and first polar body. Primary oocyte will undergo meiosis, right? Remember, primary oocyte will complete the meiosis 1, right? It will complete meiosis 1 to produce what? It will produce the secondary oocyte and first polar body, right? Secondary oocyte and first polar body. Okay, so the answer is both A and B, right? At which stage of cell, or which is the stage of cell at the time of ovulation, right? At the time of ovulation, what happens? Which ovum is at which stage? It is at the secondary oocyte, right? Secondary oocyte at metaphase 2 arrest, right? Remember, secondary oocyte at metaphase 2 arrest, okay? When sperm penetrate the secondary oocyte during its unequal meiotic division, how many polar bodies are produced, right? From secondary oocyte, how many polar bodies are produced? One polar body. What is that polar body? That is the second polar body, right? Second polar body is produced from the secondary oocyte, okay? The event of the menstrual cycle are the cyclical changes in the which in the endometrium, right? I told you it is a changes occurring in the endometrium, right? Events of menstrual cycle are the cyclical changes that is occurring in the endometrium, right? So the events of menstrual cycle are comprised of 28 to 29 days, right? It is 28 to 29 days, out of which we will opt for 28 is the most appropriate answer, okay? 28 days. Now, assertion. The vast difference is about how to answer assertion and reason. I'll tell you. First, we will check assertion and reason. Okay. If assertion is true and reason is true, right? And the assertion is the correct explanation for, the reason is the correct explanation for assertion, then it is option A, right? And Next, if assertion is true, reason is also true. But reason is not the correct explanation. It is not the correct explanation for assertion, then it is option B. Right? If assertion is true, reason is false, then it is option C. Right? Assertion is false, reason is true. Sorry, assertion is false and reason is true, then it is option D. Understand the four options? I'll explain once again. How to mark assertion and reason? Remember, if assertion is true, right, reason is also true, and reason is the correct explanation for assertion, then we will mark at option A. Assertion true, reason true, but reason is not the correct explanation. It is not the correct explanation, then we will mark as option B. Assertion true, reason false, option C. Assertion false, reason true, option D. Understand? Okay, so we'll go to the question. The vast difference is a 45-meter long tube. It is a true statement. Okay, it runs upwards from epididymis through the inguinal canal. That is also a true statement. Okay, vast difference runs from epididymis through the inguinal canal to abdominal cavity. That is also a true statement. So what will be the, but is it the explanation for assertion? No, so the answer is option B. Okay, answer is option B. Okay, now assertion. The duct of urinary bladder joins the ejaculatory duct. The duct of urinary bladder, what is it? Which is the duct of urinary bladder? It is the urethra, right? Duct of urinary bladder is urethra, right? It joins the ejaculatory duct, right? It is true, right? Ejaculatory duct joins with the urethra, that is true. Now it is known as urinary canal. Is it known as urinary canal? No, it is known as common genitourinary canal. Okay, reason is false. It is known as common genitourinary canal. Okay, answer is option C. Okay, answer is option C. Right? Now, next question. Seminal vesicle produce 50% fluid volume of semen. It produce not 50%, it produce 60%. Okay, seminal vesicle will produce 60% of the semen, and semen is it's an yellowish thick and yellowish secretion. That is true. So the answer is option D, because assertion is false. Okay, now in ovary, graph and follicle after ovulation produce granular body, right? What is that called as? It is called as progesterone, and it produces the hormone progesterone, right? Assertion is true, reason is true, and it is the correct reason is the correct explanation for assertion. Answer is option A. Okay, answer is option A. Okay, right? Myometrium is the middle layer of uterus. True, right? Myometrium is a middle layer of uterus. That is true. It is composed of bundle of smooth muscles. That is also true, right? But is it the explanation? No, it is not the explanation. So the answer is option B, right? Now, clitoris is a female external genitalia. Is it true? Yes, clitoris is the female part of female external genitalia. True. It lies at the upper junction of two labia majora. Is it true? No, it lies where? It lies at the junction of two labia minora. It lies at the junction of two labia minora. So the reason is false. So the answer will be option C, right? Assertion is true, reason is false. So the answer will be option C. Understand? Okay. Now we will see the match the following, right? Okay. So first we will match. Tell me, tunica albuginea. What? It is the collagenous connective tissue. Tunica albuginea is a collagenous connective tissue, right? Seminiferous tubule. What does it do? Seminiferous tubule, it produces Sperms, right? It produces seminiferous tubules, produces sperms. Sertoli cells responsible for nutrition. Leydig cell secrete testosterone. So what will be the answer? P2, right? P2, Q4, right? Q4, R1, R1, S3. Answer is option B. Okay, answer is option B. Okay, Q4 R1 and S2. Answer is option 4, right? We'll see the next question. Which of the following options shows correctly matched pairs for column 1, right? Seminal vesicle. What does the seminal vesicle do? It is needed for, seminal vesicle is needed for nourishment of the sperm, right? It is needed for the nourishment of the sperm, right? Seminal vesicle is needed for the nourishment of the sperm. So P3, right? P3. Prostate gland, it's for activation. Q4 for activation, right? Bulbourethral gland. What the bulbourethral gland will do? It serves as lubricant. Bulbourethral gland. Remember when we studied about the function of each secretion, right? Semen, it is delicate sperm and enhance their motility. So the answer will be answer P3, Q4, R1, S2. Answer is option A. Okay, option A. Understand? Now the last question. Which of the following option shows correctly matched pairs for column 1 and column 2? Germinal epithelium. Germinal epithelium. Right, where is the germinal epithelium? It is a cuboidal epithelium. Okay, germinal epithelium is cuboidal epithelium. Right, cuboidal epithelium. Right. Then ovarian follicle. Where? What are ovarian follicles? It contains ova and their surrounding tissues. Ovarian follicle contains ova and their surrounding tissues. Graafian follicle, it contains mature ova and their surrounding tissues. Okay. After ovulation, it produces the glandular body called as corpus luteum, that is P4, Q1, SR2 and S3. Answer is option D. Okay, answer is option D. Okay, right? So we have discussed all type of questions. If you have any doubt, please ask in the WhatsApp group or in the live sessions. Okay, live sessions we have. Okay, I hope this chapter is clear to everyone. Please, if you have any doubt, please respond. Okay, thank you everyone.